So about a month ago, I made a video reacting to Unhinged Harry Potter questions. And now today, I'm going to react to Unhinged Harry Potter opinions.
Wicked.
So we're going to be looking at this TikToker named Marker Stains, who uploaded this TikTok and basically says she's bored. And she asked, tell me your most unhinged opinions about Harry Potter. I'm not talking about Dumbledore's the villain. I want to hear your hot takes. And I want to hear them too. So we're going to go through this. I haven't really looked at it yet. And honestly, I don't even know if this video is going to be fully made. I'm just hopping on and recording to see what happens. But yeah, let's get into it. Let's go through it.
Let's go.
Remus not fighting to be in Harry's life is just lazy writing. Ooh. If they were best friends for that long, there's no way he would have just been in the background, especially after meeting him in The Prisoner of Azkaban. Interesting take. I do think that there's a reason for that. I think it's because he was a werewolf and kind of shunned by the world. And also, I feel like he knew he couldn't get a job because of his disease, meaning he probably knew he couldn't support Harry financially. Moving on to the next one. Voldemort should have been so embarrassed. Harry's biggest fear was a Dementor. Yeah, I remember Lupin in Prisoner of Azkaban was like, I stopped the boggart I went in front of you because I thought it would turn into Lord Voldemort.
I would have thought it would be obvious. I assumed it would take the shape of Lord Voldemort.
But obviously it turned into a Dementor. But as Lupin said, his biggest fear is fear itself, which is poetic. But yeah, you would think that Voldemort would be Harry's biggest fear. Although, he did come face to face with him when he was in his first year and his second year and won both matches. First making him die from third-degree burns through Quirrell, and another time beating his freaking Basilisk and then destroying his Horcrux. So honestly, does he have anything to fear? At this point, he's like, yeah, I beat you when I was a baby, I beat you when I was 11, and I beat you when you were 12. Pairing Harry and Ginny was just as lazy as putting Ron and Hermione together.
How dare you!
I feel like you're just a hater at this point because Ron and Hermione were definitely, they built it up throughout the entire series. And Harry and Ginny, I know a whole lot of people have problems with them, most of which I think stems from the films and their portrayal of Harry and Ginny.
Shoelace.
Next one, I think Harry should have named one of his kids after Hagrid. I 100% agree with that. I cannot believe that he named one of his kids after Severus Snape, the man that bullied him throughout his entire school career and was his father's arch rival. I know that he was brave in the end, but I don't know, dude. Hagrid did so much for Harry. He was his first Wizarding World friend. He introduced Harry to the Wizarding World.
Welcome, Harry, to Diagon Alley.
Yeah, Hagrid was disrespected, if you ask me. Harry should have exhibited significantly more signs of trauma from his childhood. Yeah. He was put through the ringer at the Dursleys. Like, I was working a little bit on a deep dive of the Dursleys. Not sure if I'm gonna finish it, but I went through and took notes on every single interaction the Dursleys had with each other, with Dudley, and with Harry. My light just went off in the back. Shout out to me for not charging it. But getting back to Harry's child abuse, yeah. They locked him in a cupboard, barely let him leave the house, gave Dudley a ton of toys, love, and affection, and gave Harry zero. Harry grew up with no affection whatsoever. Nobody loved him. Nobody even liked him. All of the kids at school even hated him because they were scared of Dudley. So he had no friends, no family, and really didn't interact with anybody. His trauma should have been so much worse.
I'll be in my bedroom, making no noise and pretending that I don't exist.
The only decent adult in Harry's life was Arthur Weasley. I mean, if we go off the list, Sirius, reckless. Lupin, we of course had that moment where he tried to abandon Tonks and his unborn baby and Harry told him off for that, so yeah, Lupin's not a very good example. Then we have Dumbledore, who raised Harry as a pig for slaughter. We have Snape, who, as we went over, terrible. Then the only other person really that's at least very close to Harry is Hagrid. And at times he was a little bit crazy, especially with his dragon and his blast-ended scroots. And yeah, Arthur Weasley, I guess, always there for Harry, always a perfect father figure. So yeah, I agree with that. I think Arthur Weasley really is the only decent male adult in Harry's life.
Tell me, what exactly is the function of a rubber duck?
Oh,
Everyone loves to talk about book Ginny versus movie Ginny. Recently reread the books, and honestly, she's still not very interesting.
Shut it!
Ginny's one of my favorite characters in the series, especially in the Order of the Phoenix, the Half-Blood Prince, and the Deathly Hallows. I love the way that she blossoms into this smart, confident, and beautiful character. Like, she has real character growth. And I think that Rowling perfectly sort of made her go through that transition. Second book, she's terrified of Harry. Third and fourth book, I'll admit she's not really there. Fifth book though, she's able to talk to Harry for the first time. She becomes this popular girl that a bunch of guys like. And she has some really powerful moments with Harry, like that time when he was like, oh my god, I'm possessed by Voldemort. And Ginny was like, hey, listen, you should probably ask me because I'm the only one here who was also possessed by Voldemort. And I feel like that was the first real moment where I was like, oh my god, Ginny is a badass. Then in the Half-Blood Prince, I don't even need to say anything. She was just an amazing character, and her and Harry's relationship just blossomed in a perfect way, if you ask me. Then in the Deathly Hallows, you know, film watchers won't know this, but Harry was constantly looking at the Marauders map trying to see what Ginny was doing, and she was restarting Dumbledore's army with Neville and Luna, and she had this whole arc that, again, was really, really good in the Deathly Hallows. So I'm gonna disagree with that, but again, to each their own.
Good luck.
Next one, Neville had it worse than Harry. I would rather my parents be dead than insane. Yeah, I agree with that. Like you see with the wrappers, he takes the only thing that he can get. When his mother gives him a candy wrapper, he takes it home and cherishes it because that's all he has. Meanwhile, Harry never knew his parents, and obviously like he was affected by their death, but he never knew them. Neville has known them for a long time, but never known the real them. So yeah, I would say that Neville had it worse off when it came to parents. With everything else that happened to Harry, no, I think Harry had it worse. Neville was that close to having Harry's life though, because the prophecy was almost about him and not Harry. Next one, the books were written from Harry's point of view. If you told it from other students' point of view, he was probably a menace. Yeah, I mean, if we go through it, first year he lost all those points for Gryffindor, which upset every house because it meant that Slytherin would probably win. Everybody thought that he was the heir of Slytherin. In Goblet of Fire, everybody thought that he put his name in for the tournament. And then obviously fifth year, everybody turned on him because he was this lunatic who was crazy and making up lies. I think a lot of that was made up stuff that people believed, which might have affected how they saw him as a menace. But then we get to book 6 and everybody loves him. He's this hero, he's the chosen one. And then obviously in Deathly Hallows, everybody's like, oh my god, he's a coward because he ran from all of this. But then they're like, oh my god, he's been fighting Voldemort this whole time. Welcome back, Harry, you are a hero. Now that I go through it, I'm gonna disagree with that. I think yes, they saw him as a menace, but every single time that they did, it came back and they were like, oh, yeah, he didn't actually do all of those things that we hated him for.
flying.
Harry would never become an Auror after the abuse and mistrust the Ministry put him through. Professor Potter all the way, either as DADA or Muggle Studies. I mean, we did see that he was an amazing teacher when he did Dumbledore's army, but he always wanted to be an Auror. That was always his goal. But yeah, I mean, in book 6, he did show Rufus Scrimgeour the back of his hand that said, I must not tell lies, and said, I didn't forget. So we definitely had a lot of mistrust and hatred for the Ministry. But you have to remember, all of that Ministry was pushed aside, and Kingsley Shacklebolt, somebody that Harry truly trusted and who was part of the Order of the Phoenix, took over. And if you know about deeper Harry Potter lore, both he and Hermione actually completely changed the entire landscape of the Ministry. So I think he had an insane mistrust for the Ministry that he hated, but I think he would have full trust in the Ministry that was then created. That was poetic right there. James Potter is an absolute a-hole, and the only reason why he was praised so highly was because he was a Quidditch champion. I mean, yeah, he was an a-hole. Even someone like me who absolutely loves James, Team James all the way, I can say yes, he was an absolute a-hole. He was a bully. He did some things that I agree you could say that he was a bad person, but you gotta remember, he was a kid, and yeah, playing Quidditch definitely made him more popular. I think he also had good looks, and overall, I think he was just a charming guy. Although, I will add that I think everybody hated Snape. Everybody hated and knew that he was going to be a Death Eater. Even Lily knew that. It was no secret that he was going to join Voldemort. And on top of that, he was just this little slime ball. So what I'm getting at is that everyone disliked Snape, and James put Snape in his place and definitely bullied the crap out of him. And I think people liked that because they didn't like Snape. So I think that's another reason why James was popular. Next one, I do not understand Wolfstar. I actually made a video on this, and I debunked a lot of things about Wolfstar. And also, if you don't know, Wolfstar is the pairing of Sirius Black and Remus Lupin. But yeah, I don't understand Wolfstar either. Hermione, though admirable for her intelligence, would have been an insufferable classmate. She is the ultimate teacher's pet. Like, dude, I can't stand teacher's pets. There was this one time, dude, I was in college, and we were supposed to do this notebook throughout the entire semester. And then with 3 classes left, this girl goes, "What about that book, Mrs. Sovin? Are we gonna turn that in?" And I lied to you not. The person next to me took their pencil, threw it on the ground, and said, "Damn it." Also, fun fact, that was where I met my wife, Kara. We were in that class together, and I tried to shoot my shot, and she rejected me. I was trying to sneak in. I was like, "Hey, what was the homework?" Like, hoping that would slide into another conversation. And she I'm not even kidding. She goes, "There wasn't any." Oh my God, dude. But here we are 9 years later, married, about to have a baby. And yeah, it might have taken me another year to be able to win her over. But getting back on track, wow, we went on a big tangent there. Yeah, Hermione would have been the worst person to be in class with.
You're saying it wrong. It's Leviosa, not Leviosa.
Harry and Ron absolutely would have gone back for their 7th year with Hermione. Harry loves Hogwarts and Ron loves Hermione. That's actually a pretty good take. As we said, a lot of people were disappointed that he became an Auror, and especially because he would have been an amazing teacher, as we saw in the Order of the Phoenix. And yeah, I hadn't actually heard that one before, but yeah, I feel like Ron would want to go back and be with Hermione because they're a couple for the first time. And also, I don't know, I don't think Ron ever should have been an Auror in the first place. I don't know why J.K. Rowling did that, but yeah, I think that's a pretty good take, to be honest, especially about Ron. Lupin should have gotten to kill Greyback before he died. I love that. I think that would have been really, really cool. Although, I will say, okay, so I'm gonna say no to that, and let me explain why. So, in deeper Harry Potter lore, we find out that the reason why Lupin lost his battle and was killed by Antonin Dolohov is because he was out of practice because he was raising Teddy, his son. Using that Harry Potter lore, I don't think that Lupin would have been able to take on Greyback, which honestly, like, I don't know how I feel about that, because you don't just lose your magical ability. I don't know. What would have been crazy though is if Lupin and Greyback turned into werewolves together and fought each other. Obviously that would never happen, but it'd be cool.
Cool.
Between Polyjuice Potion and Love Potions, there was probably a lot more SA in the Wizarding World than we saw.
I love her.
Yeah. Love potions were basically date rape drugs, and I never really thought about that, the Polyjuice Potion aspect of it, but yeah, you could just turn into someone and that person would think that they were doing it with their husband or their boyfriend, and yikes, yeah. James Potter didn't actually change, he simply got what he wanted. I mean, yeah, he did get Lily, and Snape didn't, but I don't know. I think he matured, joined the Order of the Phoenix while Snape joined the Death Eaters, and he gave his life to protect his family. I will agree though that he did get what he wanted, which was often the case with James as a only child and parents that were a little bit older and filthy rich. So I will say, yeah, James got his way a lot of the time. Dumbledore purposefully let Sirius be thrown in prison because he needed to be able to allow Harry to be abused the way he was, to be able to make him need someone to look up to so he could be killed. Wow. I don't think that Dumbledore purposefully let Sirius be thrown in Azkaban, and I think that's a little bit of a stretch, but I think that Dumbledore did go to certain means to be able to get Harry in a situation where he would ultimately be killed, but I don't think he would do it in that way, and I think this makes Dumbledore much more diabolical. Honestly, Umbridge had a point about the Hogwarts classes needing to be audited. There were so many horrible teachers. You say that, but then Umbridge also praised Quirrell as a teacher who literally had Voldemort on the back of his head. So anything that Umbridge says should just be wiped off the board. No, she is completely discredited. That being said though, I think yes, there probably should have been someone looking into the bad teachers. But then again, when the Ministry did do that, they put Umbridge. So either way, if I were a parent, I would start questioning the school's choices for hires. Like, you have somebody who had Voldemort on the back of his head all year. You have somebody who was a fraud and who put the students in danger a number of times and had no control over making sure they were all right. Lupin was good, but then you have a straight up Death Eater. And even if you give Dumbledore a pass not knowing that he was a Death Eater, you also have to remember that he hired an ex-Order who was literally insane and paranoid and cursed anything that he thought was dangerous to him, which was most things. Yeah, and then you have Umbridge. And then in the Half-Blood Prince, nobody is really that bad, but I mean, Snape is always bad. He's a bully. So yeah, if I were a parent, I would be questioning the staffing choices and maybe even questioning Hogwarts in general. Hermione would have made a better Slytherin.
You're a little scary sometimes. You know that. Brilliant, but scary.
She legitimately locked Rita Skeeter in a cage and didn't let her go. Like, she was holding a woman captive. Then you have the whole sneak incident where she permanently made Marietta Edgecombe have the word sneak across her face written in pimples, which did not go away, I might add. But putting her in Slytherin, I think that's a little bit much. If anything, she would have done well in Ravenclaw. Yeah, but definitely not Slytherin. In book 6, Harry almost killed Draco and then is annoyed about his detentions with Snape. Like, bro, you're lucky you're not in jail. Yeah, he was pretty lucky that Snape was there to heal Malfoy because, yeah, he would have killed him. Malfoy absolutely would have bled out right then and there. But one thing that I've always thought about is the fact that Snape rushed in and was desperate to save Draco because he realized that was the spell that he made, and he put together that Harry had his potions book. So he was kind of saving his own neck by healing Draco and not making a big deal about Harry almost killing Draco. Like, I feel like this is kind of on Snape. He kind of tried to sweep it under the rug so that he wouldn't get in trouble. But either way, yeah, Harry almost killed Draco, for sure, for sure. Why wasn't Fluffy at the Battle of Hogwarts? I love this one. That would have been so freaking cool to see. Imagine Fluffy fighting alongside Grob.
Who told you about Fluffy?
Fluffy. That thing has a name.
Always, which is the quote that Snape said about Lily,
After all this time.
Always.
was really sad and scary, not romantic. Snape was obsessed with Lily, and he abused her son because he still felt some form of possession over her even in death. Gross attempt at redemption. Wow, they really went in on that one. I honestly agree. It is sad and scary and not at all romantic. I don't know if I ever saw it as romantic. I think I saw it more as, oh shoot, that's why he did all of this. I don't think I ever saw anything with Snape and Lily as romantic. Maybe that's just me though. I'm gonna stop it there, and this was a fun video. Shout out to Marker Stains for posting this TikTok and getting us all of these Harry Potter wild opinions. I'll link her TikTok down below if you want to check her out, and also if you want to see more of these outrageous comments. That's all for today though. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I will see you in the next video.